Hello friends and welcome, this is Dawn. Today I have a lot of masculine inspiration for you. The new Honeybee release, Adventure Awaits, is perfect for all of those masculine cards. So I thought I would pull out a set that I haven't seen much inspiration for just yet, and that is their Fishing Legend Stamp and Dies. This is a great stamp set. It's got all of these images that are all themed around fishing, and it includes two great sentiments. So we're going to be able to make lots of cards from one stamp and die set. And this is something that I do often, especially for cards that I don't create very often. So in this case, it's masculine themed cards. I don't create a lot of them. I love working with florals. That is no secret, but not all dudes love florals. Some do, but not all do. So when I have the opportunity to create using something with a more masculine theme, I will go ahead and create multiple cards in one sitting so that I have a good little stash. Now this is a new stamp set. This is my first time inking it up, so I'd like to make sure that I've got it inked really well. A lot of times I will just stamp off first on a scratch piece of paper, like a piece of printer paper, and that's basically just priming the stamps. Now you can see here I'm inking this up really well, and I'm going to stamp it down, and when I lift this, I'm going to have some bare spots. But I know that I inked this stamp up really well, so I'm just going to stamp it right back down, and I'm going to put a little pressure in the areas that did not stamp well, because I know there's still ink on that stamp. There is no need for me to re-ink this whole stamp. And you can see here, I'll just check it, see where I need to apply a little extra pressure, and there we have it. Now the reason I like to do it this way rather than adding more ink to the stamp is because each time you add more ink, you're going to thicken up your lines. If you want your lines thicker, that's great. However, these images have a lot of detail packed in to the illustration itself. So the thicker my lines get with ink, the less detail I'm going to have, right? It's going to make the images look a little muddy. So this way I ink the stamp up once, I know that I have great ink coverage, and then I just apply a little extra pressure to the areas that didn't transfer well. And now I have a whole bunch of these panels all stamped out and ready to color. And we're going to be using Copics today. Now you could use any color medium of your choice, but like I said, I've chosen Copics, and I've never done the light to medium to dark, back to medium to light, I think. See, I don't even know the proper order. I've never really followed that coloring method. I always like to start with my shadows. So I will usually start with either my mid-tone or something closer to my darkest color, and I will map in my shadows. And then I will use the lighter color to pull those shadows out. From there, I will evaluate and decide if I need to go to an even deeper dark or if I just need another layer of my previous dark. So mine is definitely less methodical than some coloring styles, but this is what has always worked for me. So I lay down that darker color, and then I use my lighter color to pull out that darker color. Your lighter colors in your Copics are going to have more of their solvent base in it. It's less of the dye and more of the solvent. So that extra solvent will help break down and move that darker color around. And this just helps to give you a very smooth transition using less markers. So I decided I wanted to come in with something a little bit darker, and I've pulled out the Y28, and I'm adding that to the fins and to the very bottom of the fish. I decided I wanted a little more depth in there. And then I will use the Y24, which was my previous dark color, and I will pull that out a little bit using that. Now the images in here, we've got two fish. Now this one, I looked it up. I think it is a flathead catfish. Judging from the tail, I believe this is a flathead catfish. So I've seen those in Google. Google's your friend, guys. So I looked them up on Google, figured out it was probably a flathead catfish, and they were kind of a golden color, and some of them were like a greenish color. So I thought that was perfect for these for this color scheme for these masculine cards. And then the other fish is I'm going to assume it's a trout. This is the closest that I could figure. And I'm assuming since we're doing fly fishing, in this one, you've got a fly fish pole and your trout. Those are usually freshwater freshwater fish. So I looked those up, and you had a rainbow trout, a brook trout, and I think it was a brown trout. And those all had some really pretty, gorgeous colorations on them. So those are what I used for my inspiration to color up the little trout in these. And I did each one a little different. Do not ask me which color is for which fish. I only retained that knowledge for the purpose of coloring the images at the time, and I have now purged that information. So I highly recommend you Google it, look it up if you're looking for some color inspiration that's not just like silver gray or brown mud. You know what I'm saying? There are some really beautiful colored fish that you can find out there. And like I said, some starting points would be the rainbow trout and the brook trout and the brown trout. They're all really pretty colored. So that's my tip on that. Now for the vintage creel here, the illustration has all of the basket weaving drawn into it, which is actually really beautiful. Actually, for such a small illustration, it's very, very beautifully done. So I started by blocking in all of my base color with the E31, and then everywhere where it's woven together, I've enforced that divot with the E33, and then I'm softening that out on each side with the E31 again. This is going to enhance and reinforce that woven look. Now I'm using the E15 to come in here and just add a little bit more depth to the areas that need it. And what you may have noticed is each of these 3 images that I've colored, I've approached a little bit differently each time. I really have no set methodology on how I color when it comes to Copics, watercolor, colored pencils. I don't have a set formula that I follow for every image. I just let the image dictate basically how I'm going to approach it. This one, like I said, I knew that I would want to reinforce that woven look, and that's why I started with my base color first and then just added in my shadows where I needed them. For the rainbow trout, he's got all of these different colors going on, so I just added in my 3 colors first, and then I added in my darks to each of those colors, each of the corresponding colors. That was just going to be easier for me. If I would have started out with the green and then did the dark green and then tried to do the blue and then tried to do the darker parts and then the yellow, I very easily could have overpowered the entire image with one color and run out of room for the other colors. So I mapped in all of the colors that I wanted to fit in there first, and then I added my shadows and shading. Now for the leather strapping here around the vintage creel, I used E15, E19, and E39. This is very basic coloring here. I filled in the base color with E13, added a little E15, added a little E19 around the edges, and then blended that out with the lighter E15. I felt like it needed just a little more depth, so I'm going to come in with the E39 and add just a little bit more of those deep darks. And then for the gold buckle and the trim around the basket, I used Y28 to fill that in, make it look like it was gold. The little hole in the top of the basket, I just filled that in with a dark brown and then went over that with a W8 just to make it look like it was a hole, like it was an opening. So that was super easy. All right, and then for the last image that I'm going to show you coloring on camera, we're going to do the hat. And I'm going to switch back to filling in my shadow areas first. So you can see here I've taken kind of a mid-tone green. This is the YG63, and I'm mapping in my shadow areas. Then I'm going to take a lighter YG61, and I'm going to kind of soften out those shadows. Remember, the lighter color has more solvent in it, so it's going to pull that darker color out and create a smoother transition. And now in the areas of shadow, I'm going to switch over to the YG93 and the YG95. The 9s are a more shaded version of the greens, so we'll keep those more muted tones over in the shadowed areas, and then it will progress into the brighter tones of the 6s there where the sun or the light is hitting the hat. And you can see here, all of this coloring is pretty simple coloring, nothing too fancy or no special tricks. just paying attention to adding a little bit of a light source there, a little bit of shadow, a little bit of highlight. That's it. All right, and then I went ahead and colored up the rest of the images, switching out the colors for like the hat and some of the fish so that they wouldn't all be identical. But I used the same coloring method on everything, and now I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut out a bunch of my pieces. I like to tape mine in place, and you'll notice that when I stamped all of my images out, I made sure to leave room so that I could die cut my images easily and they wouldn't overlap or be touching. All right, so with all of the pieces die cut, it's now time to start assembling our cards. And one of my favorite ways to use these types of stamp sets, where you have a bunch of illustrations, little elements that are all centered around the same theme, but they're not really a scene builder stamp set, is to create these little collages, these little motifs, and they look great. It doesn't matter that you wouldn't find it like this. Like, would this Creole be floating on top of a fish? No. Would this hat be, floating on top of a fishing net? No. But because you're creating this little collage of elements that are all centered around the same theme, it looks great. And honestly, you can see I've moved this around several times now. Everywhere that I put something, it's like, yeah, you could leave that there. Yeah, you could leave that there. That would work. But I just keep moving it around because I need to decide where I want my sentiment to go. And I want my sentiment to look like part of the collage. So I'm just kind of moving things around here and there. I'm starting to get a feel for where I think I want my sentiment to end up right here. I'm knowing that I want it to either go in the upper left or the lower left. And ultimately I decided on the upper left. So I've left everything in place. I've put the whole card panel into my MISC. Now I haven't adhered anything down yet. I'm just using it for placement purposes so I can make sure that I stamp my sentiment in just the right spot. I'll move those out of the way once I've got this lined up, and then I can stamp down my sentiment. I chose to stamp my sentiment directly on the card base because I'm going to pop everything else up, and I just wanted to add another little layer of depth and dimension. Speaking of dimension, each of the colored elements there, I did cut several from white cardstock and stacked them one on top of the other. So for instance, the hat has 2 layers of white cardstock behind it, and this is just going to make each of the elements more chipboard-like and give them a little bit of stability. This is a great trick when you're doing CAS cards, clean and simple cards, for just adding just a little extra something to them. It makes it look a little more polished and gives it just that little bit of extra dimension. To adhere everything, I'm using the press and seal trick. So I'm taping my card base in place. I've picked up all of my elements at once on a piece of press and seal, and then I've burnished it onto my craft table there on the left side, and then I can just flip this back like a hinge. To adhere everything, I'm going to use a mix of the Be Creative liquid adhesive and their, what are these? The white foam strips. I think they're the 1/4-inch white foam strips. These are 2 of my most used adhesives in the craft room. I use them all the time. So because my elements are a little bit thicker, because I have triple stacked them, in some spots I will use the liquid adhesive, and then the areas that hang off, so an area that overlaps another element, like here on this creel, I'm going to use a little liquid adhesive on the right side, and then I'm going to add a little bit of that thin foam adhesive to the left side. Coincidentally, the thickness of these white foam strips is the perfect height as 3 of my elements stacked. So 3 cardstock cuts stacked one on top of the other ends up to be the exact same height as these foam strips. So if you do the 3 stack a lot and you overlap elements like this, these foam strips are your friend. Definitely grab some. So I'll just continue this method to adhere everything in place. And then once that's done, I can come in and add my embellishments. And I opted to go with some simple enamel dots here. These are the enamel dots from Honeybee Stamps. And I like these. There's 3 sizes on the one sheet, and they're the neutrals, white, black, and gray. Perfect for this card. So it's going to pull that black from my stamping and from my sentiment. You can see I did add a little fly up there above the sentiment. This is another great way to just incorporate that sentiment into the overall design. I just added it up above it, and now I'm going to accent around my little my little collage here with a few enamel dots. And like I mentioned, when I'm creating and I'm in the mode, I'm in the zone, I go ahead and I knock out several designs using the same concept. I'll switch them up because I'm not a fan of creating multiples of the exact same card. But again, this is just one way to get more mileage out of your stamp sets and create some extra cards to have on hand in your stash. And ultimately what usually ends up happening is I do get an idea for a completely different design while I am creating the others. For example, this one, I wanted to do an all over pattern, and so I went ahead and knocked that one out as well with the extra pieces that I had left over. So let's take a look at all the finished cards here. These turned out even better than I had anticipated. I love how clean they are. I love how colorful they are. Even though they are in a more muted color palette, they still have a lot of color. I did finish off each fish with a little Spectrum Noir, so it gives it just a little bit of a shimmer. It's hard to pick up on camera, but it is there. Now, my favorite of the bunch might be this one right here. I like the way the reel ties into the sentiment. So I've got the rod going off the design and then the string coming back in, which kind of makes it appear as if it's in mid-cast and ties in perfectly with that cast away your troubles. Now, of course, we have the all over background pattern. I always love these, but I wanted to point out how stacking those elements and making them a little bit thicker really ups this design and keeps it from being flat and boring. So hopefully this gives you some ideas for how to use these types of stamps that you may already have in your stash, or if you were looking at this set, it gives you some ideas for this set. If you are not already piggybacking off of your designs, definitely make sure that you're capitalizing on that. It is a great way to get lots of cards done pretty quickly. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, you can find all the featured supplies in the video description below, and I will see you next time. Bye.